morning and welcome to You Be the Judge. Today we have a blockbuster of a show. For most of my legal career, I have met countless people who have been severely injured because of a slip, a trip, a fall. And I want you to imagine for a second the next time you see one of those big tractor trailers passing you on the highway, how that fella who drives that tractor, who in fact has a family, who in fact is worried about his own health, gets in and out of that tractor, particularly in the wintertime when the ice and snow forms on steps that are unsafe. My guest, the president of Bustin Industries, someone who understands safety better than anyone, I suggest, in northeastern Pennsylvania, and whose vocation is making our community safer for our workers and more economical for our employers so their workers aren't hurt on the job. Mike, welcome to You Be the Judge.
Thank you very much, Todd, for that glowing introduction. I appreciate that.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I serve as president of Bustin Industrial Products, and just was involved with Bustin in the last 7 years through acquisition. However, my background is in cargo control, where we manufacture tie-down straps, load bars, cargo nets. And over the last 7 to 8 years through acquisition, we've evolved into focusing more upon, rather than freight and cargo, the most valuable asset of the company truly is the driver, as you mentioned. Bustin's history is very rich. It was founded back in 1928 by a Polish immigrant by the name of Leopold Bustin, out of the Bronx, New York. And Leo, his passion was creating a safe work environment. He fathered over 17 patents, authored those patents that we can find so far because there were a lot that we kind of found over diligence. But that was his passion, and it had a lot to do with just friction, coefficient of friction, slip resistance, whether it be in very oily, nasty work environments or snow, rain, sleet. And over the course of his career, he designed a lot of these gratings and step bars, then incorporated them into ladders, ramps, and platforms. One of his first clients was Mack Truck here in Pennsylvania.
Well, when we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about the difference between your product and how it makes the work environment safer,
okay,
and a product that may be available on the market by one of your competitors. So please stay tuned to You Be the Judge for an extremely important program on workplace safety. Good morning and welcome back. My guest is the president of Bustin Industries, Mike Williams. And Mike is here to talk to us today about safety in the workplace, particularly as it affects one of the major causes of slips, trips, and falls. That's working space that's slippery, that is uneven. Mm-hmm. And you have a product that has been used in the trucking industry for some time now that is kind of revolutionary. Tell us a little bit about your grates and why these deck plates that you produce are safer than some of your competitors.
Oh, thank you. Yes, actually, the Bustin's premise is that we create a high coefficient of friction, very slip resistant, as you mentioned, open area so debris, snow, sleet, frozen snow can fall through, and actually it's self-cleaning. And what I wanted to highlight is how, ironically, how technology in tractors, trailers has really increased from tracking tractors and trailers through GPS, fuel economies, all these different designs, but the one place that we've kind of gone backwards in is safety and coefficient of friction. So I wanted to highlight a couple of products and demonstrate and illustrate how those are different.
Tell me about them.
The one that I have down here to my right is a deck plate. That's a product that's put on the chassis of a tractor right behind the cab. It allows the driver to connect and disconnect the trailer to the tractor. And what it is it's just a sheet material that's been punched. And as you'll notice, it could really accumulate a lot of snow. For instance, up in the north where snow can fall, in some cases inches and hours, it'll accumulate quickly. But this is a design that actually came in probably about 7 to 10 years ago, and it's actually grown. It's more cosmetic, maybe a little cheaper, but it's definitely less safe. To my far left, you can see that other product is our own grating. And as your viewers can probably see, you can almost see right through it. It's 80% open area. It's multi-directional friction, and it provides a leading edge where there's no radius or rounding, so that way when the driver steps on it, low light conditions, he's in a parking area, he's having to disconnect the tractor, there's snow and ice, he can barely see what he's doing, and he has confidence that he has plenty of friction to do what he needs to do.
Well, it would seem also that metal would freeze a lot quicker than most surfaces. And in light rain with cold weather, an unsuspecting worker could really, and how high are these?
The tractors and trailers can go anywhere from 36 inches high off the ground to 48 to 52 inches off the ground.
So a 48-inch fall landing on your head could actually be a fatal fall.
Absolutely, and it has proven to be the case.
You know, Mike, one of the things that recent events has taught us is when economy gets tough, companies look for places to cut.
Right.
They seem to move towards safety as the most efficient place to cut. And what happens? Well, we saw in West Virginia the mines disasters that killed 20-some miners. We see in the Gulf of Mexico that horrible disaster that not only is wrecking our ecosystem down there, but 11 men were killed. And I suggest in my business, I see time and time again people getting hurt in workplaces where there hasn't been the enforcement necessary by management to make sure that everyone is working and thinking safely. Right. And I know you have a passion for safety.
Oh, absolutely. Well, safety is one of those things that everyone's passionate about as long as someone else has to pay for it. And I think the problem with business and executives today is we think that safety, being preemptive in safety, is counter-profitable, when just the opposite is the case. So what also happens in the organization is we try to departmentalize safety. So you have a department, I have a department, and I sure need this done, but that's Todd's department. He's going to handle it. That's the safety department. The other thing is, as you well see, I'm sure in cases that you work on, is that we try to imagine that insurance and workman's comp are a safety net when they should be the last thing that we look at. So rather than creating behavior, tools, and best practices that will avoid ever getting there, we just think about it much like the guy that spends all his money on the credit card at Christmas time and only realizes what he spent when it comes, to pay that bill. We do that in a delayed reaction to safety. So we're always being reactive. We're always spending money after the fact. In the case with BP, as you illustrated, that's a perfect example of profit being put as a priority above safety. And you see how unprofitable that move was.
Sure. The thing that concerns me, and I say it whenever I get to a Chamber of Commerce dinner or a JC's luncheon, and I'm invited to speak, guys like you can put guys like me out of business. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, I could earn a living searching titles or being a real estate lawyer or a bankruptcy lawyer, but the fact that we have lawyers that have to represent people who are hurt on the job, and we have so many of them, you only have to watch television to see everybody advertising for personal injuries, is an indication that we really, as a nation, have not put a premium on safety.
True.
And it's a shame, and as a result, I just see it. And when you and I first met, and I learned of your involvement in the trucking industry, I told you, we've seen numerous people getting in and out of a tractor, just the first step
Right.
that they have to climb up to get in there. And if they slip on that and grab a handle somewhere, it's a shoulder.
Right.
If they don't get the handle, it may be a head injury, it
Right.
could be a hip or a neck, but they're out of work. And these guys frequently have to load and unload their tractor trailers. If they're not strong, physical beings, they can't work anymore,
Right.
and regularly. It's difficult to find them and retrain them into other employment because most of their life has been heavy industry. So it's truly, truly a tragedy. And when we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the other things that you do up at your plant, and particularly the drilling industry, because I think although we're hearing a lot about how that impacts the environment, I'm seeing injuries and deaths in that drilling industry.
Yes.
Because they're moving too fast and they're not placing a premium on safety. So please stay tuned.